Alright guys, so we're on to the next episode of Dragon Ball Super. We're on to episode 88 now, and this episode is called Gohan and Piccolo, Teacher and Pupil Clash in Max Training. This was an excellent episode, I have to say. I really enjoyed this one. Definitely the best episode we've had in quite a while, and I really haven't thought that the most recent episodes were really that bad. Last week, the second episode with 17 did feel kind of fillery. I actually saw Geekdom 101, a very good Dragon Ball YouTuber, refer to it as very similar feeling to some of the early Dragon Ball GT episodes, and I completely agree. That definitely was a good comparison to last week's episode with 17. But this episode definitely didn't feel like many of the last several episodes. There's a lot of good stuff that happens in here, so let's get to it. So, the episode opens up with Gohan and Piccolo in their training, which did surprise me. I thought there was going to be a little bit of setup into it, but we did see Gohan approach Piccolo a couple episodes ago. Now, Piccolo actually tells Gohan that Goku has seen him and talked to Piccolo since the Zen exhibition match has finished. And we see a flashback of this where Goku kind of explains, Gohan did good at the Zen exhibition match, but really he should have been able to do better considering how strong he used to be. And Piccolo agrees not only to participate in the Tournament of Power, but he thinks he has a good method to bring out Gohan's abilities once again. So, up until now, Gohan and Piccolo, they were fighting, and Gohan was in his base form. At this point, Gohan steps it up to Super Saiyan, and they begin sparring. Then it cuts over to Bulma and Vegeta and Beerus and Whis at Capsule Corporation, kind of just like a fillery kind of scene. We do see that Vegeta is like an expert at changing Bra's diapers and stuff, which is cool. Like it's kind of a funny scene where Trunks is having trouble doing it, and Vegeta does it in a second. And, he's standing there, all confident with that smirk. And Trunks and Goten are like, oh, that's amazing. Like, that, for some reason, that made me laugh. It was a funny scene. Now, Beerus kind of gets annoyed at how carefree the Bulma and Vegeta family is being, and kind of toys with the idea of telling them about the universe's destruction. But Whis basically kind of tells him what would happen, and we see, a short scene of what would happen if Beerus told them. And, Bulma is chewing Beerus out, and Beerus is like, well, it's because Goku went to Zeno-sama, I tried to stop him. And Bulma's like, you tried? Aren't you a god? It was pretty funny for a scene that was basically here just to pad out time. I did enjoy it. Now, another interesting thing that happens is we then see Krillin and Android 18 doing some sparring. But the really interesting thing here is that Android 18 is actually already in her Tournament of Power outfit. She has her pink, tracksuit or jumpsuit on, which I did not think we'd probably see her get into until, all the warriors were ready to assemble for the tournament itself. So this was a nice surprise, and also does show that we are beginning to get close to the Tournament of Power. I can't imagine there'll be many more episodes until it officially begins. Now, it cuts back to more sparring between Gohan and Piccolo actually makes a really interesting point here of that Gohan is, so overeager to protect, protect my family. Think of any show, any trope we've seen in a lot of these shonen animes where it's oh, gotta protect, protecting makes me stronger and stuff. And Piccolo does kind of, elaborate on that, yes, the desire to protect your family will, draw out power, but wishing too strongly can be dangerous. And Piccolo basically talks about his overeagerness and the fact that he's not able to calmly assess the situation. And he even says that, Gohan will not do well in the Tournament of Power if he's not able to draw out his original strength that we saw back in Dragon Ball Z. And you see Gohan really sort of conflicted about this and really it's bothering him. He realizes Piccolo is right. Now, the next thing that happens, it actually cuts to Cabba on a spaceship in space, and he is aware that the universe will be destroyed if, his Universe 6 does not win, and he thinks to himself that, Hit is super powerful, he'll help their team a lot, but, in a 80-person battle royale against 70 other opponents, Hit's not going to be able to do it himself. Although I would like to point out, Hit has like some of the most ridiculous OP shit we've seen to this point. I feel as though Hit probably would be very suited to a battle royale. We'll see. But I do expect, at least, I would say I expect a very good fight involving Hit. Maybe against, like, Topo or Jiren, because I could see, as Hit being, like, the last kind of rival Goku has made, I could see, in order to kind of put Jiren or Topo over to show how powerful they are, maybe they go through Hit first before they fight Goku. I do think that is a high possibility. Now, Cabba goes to a different planet where it looks as though he's going to recruit another Saiyan. Now, it's not outright stated that he's a Saiyan. Well, actually, never mind. It is 100% confirmed that he's a Saiyan based on the way things go, although it's not outwardly said, like, oh yeah, you're a Saiyan. He is a member, previous member. He was like a captain for Planet Salad, like Saiyan Elite Defense Force that Cabba is a part of. And his name is Renso. Now, he appears to have an injury to his leg, to where he's not very mobile, and Cabba has actually come to recruit him to be a member of the Universe 6 team for the Tournament of Power. But Renso, when told about the universe's destruction if they lose, isn't fully confident that he'll be good for this tournament setting, even though Cabba makes the good point that his battle experience would still be useful. Renso declines, but says he has someone else in mind. Now, this was interesting. There were some spoilers released not too long ago about the female Broly, and it kind of seemed, I kind of made the prediction, like, usually when spoilers like this come out, that means the character arrival is imminent, and Renso recommends his sister, Caulifla, and it shows a shot of her. It looks like she's like a leader of, like, like the Warriors, like, that old, like, 70s movie. Like, she's got, like, some shit like this where she's looking like she's the boss of a bunch of, like, thugs and shit. And Renso mentions that her potential power is far greater than his. Now, based off of, different promotional materials and stuff we've seen, it's clear that this character, Caulifla, the female Saiyan, is indeed going to be the female Broly. Now, what I think is very interesting is that in this scene, Renso asks Cabba to show him the new power Cabba has acquired, which of course Cabba then proceeds to go Super Saiyan, and Renso is shocked and in awe. So, knowing this, I would say it is highly likely that Caulifla, the female Broly, as of right now, does not have the ability to go Super Saiyan. So this is something that might be unlocked in the Tournament of Power itself, or might be unlocked off-screen between now and then. I mean, it's not entirely clear how close Caulifla and Renso are, so I guess it is a possibility that she has the Super Saiyan transformation available to her, but Renso does not know about it. Regardless, we now get a look and we have a name for this character, which is definitely very exciting. Now, it goes back to Gohan and Piccolo's training, and it is cool. We see a short shot of a dinosaur watching the fight, and obviously it's meant to be a callback to the dinosaur that Gohan was fucking around with at the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, where he would cut its tail and, progressively cut more of its tail off and eat it for dinner. We'll get to that later on in the episode, but that did appear to be that same dinosaur. Obviously a callback to the beginning of DBZ. Now, Piccolo at this point says it's time for them to step it up. The warm-up is done. And we see Gohan go Super Saiyan 2. You can tell here because they made sure to put the electricity all over Gohan's aura, so he is in his Super Saiyan 2 transformation. Now, what proceeds, basically throughout the entire episode, I would have to say the fight between Gohan and Piccolo was definitely very enjoyable. After some more fighting, Piccolo gets a decisive advantage, and he kind of uses his arm stretching technique to kind of strangle Gohan, and he kind of has Gohan wrapped up. And Gohan is shocked and is like, motherfucker, where did you get this power? And Piccolo straight up says, while you were studying and researching, what did you think I was doing? So, boom, Piccolo has a ginormous power-up as well, like a lot of these other characters, which at this point is fine. I mean, the characters have to catch up somehow, which I do understand. I would say Piccolo is, of all the characters, I understand him having a huge power-up, more so than even, like, Android 17, because, you know, last we saw Piccolo, he was definitely stronger than Android 17. Well, when I say last we saw Piccolo, I mean, like, the last time Piccolo was involved in serious combat during the Cell game, because Piccolo doesn't really have, like, a super serious fight in the Buu saga. Now, Piccolo kind of wraps Gohan up, knocks him unconscious, and then kind of revives him and explains to Gohan Gohan's one big weakness. Now, this really caused me to perk up, and this actually gives me a lot of hope for Dragon Ball Super in the future. It has progressively gotten better. Like, if we compare the Universal Survival arc right now to, like, the Golden Frieza arc, you know, the Resurrection F arc so long ago, Dragon Ball Super is so much better than it used to be. I still don't think it's at the point it should be. Dragon Ball Super as a show has, like, unlimited potential to be good, but I feel like they've made a lot of missteps. But now they're getting into something I really like. Piccolo mentions Gohan's big weakness, which is his overconfidence. And he proceeds to explain the situation, and we see flashbacks from the Buu saga of Ultimate Gohan fighting Super Buu. And Piccolo explains, when your power was drawn out by Elder Kai, you became overconfident and drunk with that power, and you allowed yourself to be off guard, and, you know, Super Buu is able to beat him. I love this, that they're addressing that, giving us this evidence. Now, Piccolo does not mention Super Saiyan 2 Gohan against Cell, but again, that was the same thing. Gohan goes Super Saiyan 2, and, like, his head just gets all foggy. He's, like, so sadistic fighting Cell. He wants Cell to suffer before he kills him, super overconfident, which eventually leads to his father Goku's death. Now, the fact that we're addressing this right now is very, very good. I do kind of like this thing because it is tying it a lot more back to Dragon Ball Z and reminding us of this stuff. Definitely was a big fan of this. So at this point, Gohan starts to charge up again, and Piccolo straight up says, Super Saiyan is not your full power. Use the power you used when you fought Buu. And Gohan proceeds to activate that transformation. We see his hair, like, go from yellow to black. His eyes light up. They play the Super Saiyan 3 Goku 3 theme from Dragon Ball Kai, which they used here in Dragon Ball Super when Vegito first appeared again. And, you know, Gohan has this really epic transformation into Ultimate Gohan again. You know, they were fighting in kind of like this rainy, cloudy area, and Gohan's transformation, like, opens up the heavens, you know, creates, like, a nice circle amongst the storm clouds. If you guys are fans of Final Fantasy VII, when Odin uses his lance attack, very similar looking imagery right here. It was really badass. I really enjoyed Gohan's transformation here. So Piccolo then kind of does, like, a multi-form, you know, Kagebushin no Jutsu technique against Gohan. And Gohan starts fighting a lot of the clones, and he actually goes and chops one of their arms off, and it's revealed that it's the real Piccolo. And Piccolo, you know, starts kind of, like, talking to Gohan and kind of, like, talks him down. And is really praising him, like, if you could fight like that, you're not going to lose to the other universes. And Gohan gets, like, all happy, like, oh yeah, Piccolo-san, thanks. And the arm that Gohan had chopped off, you see it spin behind Gohan, stabilize, and then shoot a blast right at Gohan's back, you know, critically injuring him. And he falls into Piccolo, and Piccolo mentions again, you did it again. This is what happened with Buu. You got careless, thought the fight was over, and then Buu absorbs you. And I love, he does mention too, he says, I understand that you get, you know, letting down your guard from your father, but, you know, it's time to cut this shit out. No more arrogance, no more letting your guard down until the fight is over. This whole episode with Gohan and Piccolo was tremendous. I really like that they actually showed this training Piccolo is doing with Gohan, because to this point, Dragon Ball Super they've had a tendency of just bringing shit up out of nowhere. You know, I guess we could say this episode did it too, where Piccolo is all of a sudden probably, you know, ridiculously strong. Like, Piccolo could probably take, like, Kid Buu down, I'm sure. You know, shit along that level. We didn't see Piccolo's training. We don't know how that happened. He's just that strong. That's been my problem. I might do a video on this, because I've seen a lot of people have countered, you know, to like my complaints and others' complaints about Dragon Ball Super, how they do with power, and they'll say, Dragon Ball, it was always fucked up like that. Look at Piccolo arrives on Namek, you know, he was killed by Nappa, and now he's able to fight second form Frieza. And it is true that crazy things have happened like this, but there were always reasons for it. Like, Trunks doing the Spirit Bomb Sword came out of nowhere. No setup, no context, nothing. All of a sudden, there's a Spirit Bomb, he's absorbing it, boom, merge Zamasu, you're dead. Like, that happened like that. At the very least, they showed us how Gohan reawakened his ultimate form, which I appreciate, because they easily could have done what they've done all through Dragon Ball Super, and we get to the tournament, and boom, Gohan just goes ultimate form and be like, yeah, I train with Piccolo, and that's it. But they actually gave us a good episode with good scenes that made sense. You know, Piccolo talking up Gohan. This was very good. This was what Dragon Ball Super needs. This is what we needed when Goku and Vegeta unlocked Super Saiyan Blue. They needed to fully explain it. In Resurrection F, just being a fun movie like that, not really an explanation for Super Saiyan Blue, that's fine. But in the show, we should have gotten an explanation. Hopefully they're going to start doing that now, and they'll continue what we're doing right here. Overall, though, very good episode. Now, the ending of the episode is very good, because Gohan and Piccolo are having a meal. Now, Piccolo doesn't eat, he only needs water, so clearly this is just for Gohan. And we see that dinosaur from before is sitting there. We see his tail cut off, because young Gohan had done that. And then another piece of his tail, the slab of meat, is over the fire. The callback to Dragon Ball Z, fucking beautiful. I did love this. And Piccolo and Gohan, you know, there's still time until the tournament. They're going to keep training. You know, they shake hands. Piccolo says that he thinks Gohan can go even higher, that there's more power that he can tap into, setting up, I don't know, Ultimate Gohan, you know, stage 2 or some shit like that. Could be. And right before the episode cuts off, Gohan does suggest that they create like a 2-person combination attack, which sounds really interesting in the tournament. And that would be fucking badass. And again, I want to point this out. Dragon Ball Super is here to sell toys and stuff. This is a fact. They're setting us up in the Tournament of Power for Gohan and Piccolo to have this awesome 2-person attack, which will be put into Xenoverse 3, Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, all the Dragon Ball games. You know, there's going to be some Dragon Ball Super video game popping up sometime soon, I could imagine. And, you know, they got to get this new move in for the characters to have. You mark it down, they are going to have some sick double-person attack, and it is going to be awesome for sure in the Tournament of Power. Now, the very last scene, it's almost like the episode ends, and then it brings us back for one quick scene, which, oh man, I just gotta, I gotta do some shaking of my head right here. They bring us back to Yamcha, who's waiting, I guess, presumably at his house with Puar, and he's kind of walking back and forth, talking about how he's going to decline Goku's invitation for the Tournament of Power, and then, later on he'll accept and come in at the last minute and be the 10th member. And, he's singing to himself, oh, Goku's just gonna pop in with the instant transmission, and it's just, such a scene clowning on Yamcha. Now, hey, for years, I have been going on and on that everyone clowns on Krillin, like Krillin is the punchline, but it's always been Yamcha, not Krillin. Krillin put in work during Dragon Ball. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. Yamcha didn't do a goddamn thing. But now, they truly have embraced Yamcha as the meme of Dragon Ball, and it is pretty funny. It's a nice little kind of almost after-credits scene. I don't know how much more of Yamcha we'll be seeing for the rest of this arc, But I have enjoyed these 2 scenes with him thinking he'd be on the team. It was good shit. Overall, very, very good episode. I don't really have many complaints at all. You know, we got to see the female Broly, great shit with Gohan and Piccolo, so now we look forward to the next episode, which I also am highly excited for.